What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Dramatic Capture Series Nemesis Bridge 3-pack. So, first of all, we are starting off with the big bad leader of the Decepticons. We have Megatron, who is inspired by the Earthrise release, arguably the more G1 accurate between his two War for Cybertron outings, and to say that TAKARA TOMY have absolutely delivered in the paint department, I seriously think is an understatement, because when it does come to an Earthrise Megatron, this guy looks to be the best that I think he ever could be. So, as we check out the details, the head sculpt is super G1 inspired, especially when it comes to that crazy monobrow. I am Megatron, leader of the Decepticons. Such heroic nonsense. And I'm also digging the details, which we now have here for the fusion cannon. This really does seem as if though maybe it could transform into the scope of the original G1 Megatron blaster mode. So I thought that was a really nice throwback, and to be fair, even the legs look pretty decent from the front, although the second you spin these bad boys here to the side, there is no denying that these are lacking in the plastic department, mainly just due to the way he transforms though. These big gaping holes unfortunately do have a role to play, and it does mean that in robot form they don't look the best, but as we spin him around here to the back, this is most definitely a tank Megatron in comparison to the more iconic gun Megatron. To be fair, I do think the treads integrate pretty nicely into the design, and at this point the tank is seriously just as iconic to Megatron as that original G1 blaster was. So right now, when it does come to a G1 Megatron, I think this guy is likely to be one of the best that we have so far seen released. Now, when it comes to Megatron's accessories, in addition to the iconic fusion cannon, he's also packing this really awesome spear. Now, to be honest with you guys, this is probably my biggest issue when it comes to the Earthrise Megatron mold, because it does rely heavily on parts forming, which ain't the greatest, and even this panel here is a part of the back of the tank, but it has been very nicely detailed and painted, and I guess in some ways is a great throwback to the origins of Megatron, where he was the great gladiator of Iacon. Although, I can't lie to you guys, because this set is a TAKARA TOMY exclusive, I think it would have been really cool had they also included the mace, which we did see originally as part of that Generation Selects Centurion Drone Weaponizer pack. Not only was this a super iconic G1 weapon, which Megatron would use quite frequently in the show, but it would have been an amazing way to have got what was otherwise a super elusive accessory with a proper mainline Megatron. So, unfortunately, that is a missed opportunity, and I'm hoping that with rumours of an upcoming Studio Series 86 Megatron, this is definitely a weapon which we can see make a return. So, rolling onto the battlefield is Megatron, now fully transformed into his tank mode, and this is looking wicked. Way nicer in comparison to the battle damage, which we did see first time round. It's pretty sick to see Megatron literally coated in this awesome metallic silver, although unfortunately, as you spin him around here to the back, the robot mode feet are clearly visible. Now, honestly, I'm not quite sure as to why the design team just left these like this, because I think it would have been really easy had these folded inside. Not only would have that filled in this hollow gap, and then you would not have required this piece to parts form, but then it also would have completely cleaned up the tank mode, because with the exception of the feet, this is a really solid alt form. I mean, even when it comes here to the detail of the treads, these are looking sick, although unfortunately they don't actually roll like the Combiner Wars version. Instead, he does solely rely on these four wheels, although in their defense, they can roll out with no issue at all. So Optimus Prime better watch his back, because with this guy on the battlefield, it's definitely not going to end well for the Autobot Force. So, second up, we have Megatron's loyal communications officer. We have Decepticon Soundwave, who is based on that incredibly elusive Earthrise release. Now, I won't lie to you guys, when it comes here to robot mode, I don't think there has ever been a better Soundwave other than the Masterpiece. This guy looks incredible, and this time painted up to the max, he looks awesome. So, as we check out the details, that head sculpt is super G1 inspired. This piece here can still eject, which reveals some pretty awesome sculpt work packed on the inside. Would have been amazing had the thighs also been fully decked decked out in this silver because unfortunately with my original Netflix Soundwave, that was an area which appeared to be prone to yellowing. So I'm hoping the same fate don't plague this Soundwave because it is such a nicely done looking figure. But when it comes here to the front of the legs, again, packing some really awesome details. And as we spin Soundwave here to the back, you know, he is mostly kibbleless. Although if this is the design which they are to reapproach in the future, then I would maybe like to see them perhaps tidy up the back of the arms, because even to this date, I'm still quite unsure as to why he's still packing those blasters, which are a carryover from the Siege Soundwave. And it's also not cool to see this kind of butt flap, because the actual cassette player details are on the front skirt. So this is an area which I'm hoping they will tidy up. But when it comes to detail, again, so nicely sculpted. Would have been amazing had this too also been picked out in a silver, much like the Masterpiece Soundwave. But for a mainline Soundwave, damn, that upcoming Legacy figure definitely has some tough competition, because right now this Soundwave definitely is superior. Now, when it comes to what firepower Soundwave is packing, in addition to the over-the-shoulder cannon, this guy also includes the iconic concussion blaster, which, when it comes to paint, is a big improvement in comparison to the original. And he also includes that Transformers Siege leftover blaster, which, to be honest with you guys, I never really knew why Hasbro included it first time round, let alone with the Earthrise / Netflix Soundwave. I guess if you really wanted to, you could completely extend this to kind of create the back barrel of the original G1 Megatron, so I guess it is multifunctional, although to be honest, much like all of the previous Soundwaves I own, this will more than likely find itself tossed into a drawer. Although, easily the best accessory that Soundwave is packing would be his iconic Cybertronian companion, where you have Laserbeak fully transformed into his cassette mode. When it comes to detail, this guy is looking sick, especially as we check out those cybernetic components. And to be fair, for a tiny little cassette, I do think this is packing a punch. And the same can definitely be said as we whack out Operation Transformation. So here is Laserbeak transformed into his beast mode, and again, detail wise aren't too bad. I'm also really digging the jetpack which we have up top. If we spin this bad boy around to the back, he's also packing quite a few blast effect ports, so you can really have this guy roaming around on that Cybertronian battlefield, being nothing but an absolute pest to the Autobots. And if we spin this bad boy here upside down, he's also packing a 5mm post which you can attach onto the arm of Soundwave, which when I think comes to a display is going to look awesome. So, blasting those sonic speakers onto the Cybertronian battlefield is Soundwave, now fully transformed into his cassette player mode. To be fair, from the front, I think the details are looking kind of banging, you know, definitely very inspired by the original G1 series, especially when it comes to paint apps. I mean, this thing is looking sick, although unfortunately, as we spin this guy around here to the back, he is honestly kind of a hot mess, and that's a shame, you know, if they are to reapproach this guy in the future, again, as a Legacy United leader class, then this is definitely an area which honestly I would love to see tidied up, and even compared alongside the original G1 Soundwave cassette player mode, a figure which was now originally released way back in the 1980s, I do think this does unfortunately pale in comparison. But besides the side and the back, there is no denying that from the front he looks incredible, and you are still totally able to drop that cassette deck down, insert Laserbeak inside, begin blasting out some banging tunes, and begin annihilating the sound receptors of the Autobots. So, up next we have the third and final figure of the 3-pack, the sinister scientist, Shockwave. Now, this guy is a repaint of the Transformers Siege leader Shockwave, although has been reissued without any of the extra accessories, which, to be honest, I think is really how we should have seen him released first time round, because when it comes to a standalone Shockwave figure, I really don't think it gets any better than this when it does come to mainline. This guy is incredible, and he is pretty much spot on to how he originally appeared in the G1 show. So, as we check out the details, this guy has been sculpted literally front side to back. The head sculpt though is just killer, especially coupled with that amazing light piping. What is your command, Megatron? I'm also digging some of the inbuilt details which you can see packed beneath the windshield, and because he was originally released as a leader class, when it comes to plastic quality and how filled out he is stacked, you know, with the exception of one area, that being this part of the thigh. This guy is filled in front side to back, which is excellent, which, speaking of, even the side and back profile is honestly just as accurate as the front profile. You know, this is a really solid figure. Now, one thing which I'm not crazy about would be that unfortunately the entire backpack has been cast in white plastic. Now, this is the only case where I do find myself preferring the colours of the original, because I don't think this gels too well with what is predominantly a purple upper torso, but in its defence, it does help aid the alt mode, so I guess I can't complain too much. So, overall, easily one of the best reissues out of the entire 3-pack. And cruising across that Cybertronian battlefield would be Shockwave, now fully transformed into his Cybertronian spacecraft. Now, we won't spend too much time in this mode because this definitely is way more than meets the eye, but when it does come to additional details, that command deck is looking sick. I'm digging how to match the look of the robot mode. It is even packing some pretty impressive light piping, although if you do take hold of these tiny little antennas and smack these bad boys here down, there was only one reason why TAKARA TOMY completely redecoed the front end of this spacecraft, and that's so that when you flip this here upside down, bang, you are instantly thrown back to Shockwave's original G1 blaster mode. And I think this is really damn awesome. You know, when it comes to sculpting and design, pretty spot on to how Shockwave did originally appear in the G1 show. So I think they've done a brilliant job, and I'm hoping this is the workaround that they go through in order to give us a blaster mode for Megatron once his Studio Series 86 figure gets a release, because there is no denying that this is absolutely a handheld blaster for Shockwave to annihilate the Autobots on the Cybertronian battlefield. Now, as Shockwave himself includes no accessories due to him pretty much being a standalone release, we're going to get stuck into the main reason as to why this set is titled as the Nemesis Bridge, because this is Megatron's throne, which I think is so damn awesome. When it comes to detail, you know, this is looking amazing. Paired with Megatron, it creates for a sick display, and for those of you who never picked up the Coronation Starscream, this is a great way to get what has to be one of the best accessories ever to be included with a Transformer into your collection. Now, when it comes to posability, despite both Soundwave and Megatron lacking any wrist rotation, the articulation between all three is pretty much the same. So we are going to focus on what logical moves Shockwave can pull. So to begin with, the head is on a ball joint. This will look up, it will look down, rotate side to side. The shoulders will move forwards, they can then move backwards, they can even kick out to the side. There is a bicep cut and elbow bend. Despite the asymmetrical design, he includes 2 wrist rotations, which I thought was really awesome. The waist can rotate all the way around with no issue at all. The hips will kick forwards roughly to that far. They can then also go backwards pretty much the same range, so that is really impressive. When it comes here to the outwards range, there is no denying that he will be able to issue a fatal high kick to an unfortunate Autobot. There is also a pretty decent thigh cut, and then finally when it comes to the main points of articulation for Shockwave, he does include a pretty decent knee bend. Now, there is an ankle pivot, although due to the way he has been designed, unfortunately this is severely compromised, although that isn't the case with the likes of both Megatron and Soundwave. So to see what all three are truly capable of, now let's put the Decepticons through the post test. So, flying through some robot mode comparisons, we are first of all starting off with the big bad Megatron. On the right hand side, we have the original Earthrise version. Now, I think in this form, there really is no denying in saying that the brand new TAKARA TOMY version absolutely wipes the floor with the original, at least when it comes to paint apps. But one area where I do think the original is superior in would be quality control when it comes to the joints, because unfortunately, the knees and the hips are so damn loose to the point where unfortunately he does struggle to even stand at some times. So I have myself tried to tighten up the screws, but they seem to be fresh out of the box, already stripped. So I'm not quite sure what went down in the production of this guy, but that is definitely something to watch out for. Next up, as a bonus comparison, we are whacking out the legendary Earthrise Optimus Prime, and I think it's safe to say that right now these are probably the best mainline G1 Megatron and Prime that has so far been released. These guys as a pair look awesome, although it is just a shame that if listings are to be true this time next year, it does seem as if though they are about to be made redundant big time. Next up, we have Soundwave, and again, I think it's pretty safe to say
TAKARA TOMY superior, Hasbro inferior.
Comparing the two of them, I really think there is a night and day difference. The brand new TAKARA TOMY version looks amazing when it comes to robot mode, especially with that sick trim going around the cassette deck, the additional metallic silver on the forearms. I just hope that he doesn't fall victim to the same issue which plagued this Soundwave. And much like Megatron, for a bonus comparison, we have the Studio Series Blaster. Now, I do think they make for pretty cool companion pieces, although for this to be spot on accurate to the original G1 show, shouldn't Soundwave be a little bigger? So again, I am wondering if that upcoming Legacy United leader Soundwave will be a brand new mold to better pair with Blaster, or if rumours are to be true, will it be just this guy repainted with a few extra accessories? I guess only time will tell. And then finally, rounding off the robot mode comparisons with the only logical character, we have Shockwave. So here is the original Siege version on the right. Now, when it comes to these two, I really think this is more so going to come down to personal preference, because whilst I do think the new TAKARA TOMY version is an absolute banger, I do find myself overall edging slightly more towards the original, especially when it comes to how well the backpack does gel with the rest of the design. Now, as I mentioned, the backpack of this guy is white to help aid the alt form, but I don't think it comes across that well in robot mode. So you guys let me know down below, between the TAKARA TOMY and the Transformer Siege Shockwave, which is the one you guys prefer. Here we have the Decepticons now fully transformed into their vehicle modes, and we are back with Shockwave. Now, unlike robot mode, where I definitely did prefer the purple backpack, hands down, the white backpack of the TAKARA version does wonders when it comes here to the alt mode. You know, not only is this again a great throwback to the original G1 Blaster, but it really does help to break up the colour. So I think at least when it comes to my own collection, I will be keeping Siege Shockwave in robot mode and the new TAKARA version in alt mode, because there is no denying that this looks sick. Now, when it comes to Soundwave, to my surprise, there really aren't too many differences when it comes to the cassette player mode. Of course, the original version has yellowed beyond repair, so I'm instantly drawn more so towards the TAKARA version, and I do like how the cassette deck trim again matches up with these pretty sick cybernetic details which we have packed onto both the left and the right hand side. Although, as we round things off with the big bad leader of the Decepticons, this is way more cutthroat when it comes to a comparison, because easily the brand new Nemesis Bridge Megatron annihilates the Earthrise version. You know, sadly, the Earthrise version was still plagued with that really ugly Siege War for Cybertron battle damage, although in its defense, I did really like the callback to the original G1 Megatron toy of the D16 slapped along the side. Unfortunately, this is lacking any of those details here. There is no denying that the metallic silver does wonders for this mold, so definitely the TAKARA TOMY Megatron is superior in comparison to the inferior Earthrise Megatron. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Dramatic Capture Series Nemesis Bridge 3-pack. Overall, I think for the most part, this is a banging release by TAKARA TOMY. They have released easily what have to be 3 of the best versions of these characters which have so far been made, especially when it comes to Shockwave, which I think is a goated figure. An amazing robot mode, a really decent blaster mode, especially if you do flip that bad boy upside down. When it comes to Megatron, the robot mode is really well done. I love the paint apps of this Megatron, although my biggest issue with the set overall would have to be the quality control when it comes to Megatron's knees. Unfortunately, he is so damn loose, which honestly is super frustrating, especially when you're posing him and when you factor in the price point. I really do think that kind of sucks. Although, when it does come around to Soundwave, what a banging reissue of what has to be one of the most elusive mainline Transformers to ever exist. And I know the price tag of this 3-pack will definitely leave a dent in most collectors' wallets, but when you kind of factor in the aftermarket prices of not only Siege Megatron, but that Netflix Soundwave Soundwave. I really do think this 3-pack at the moment is the most affordable way of getting these guys into the collection without having to pay those ridiculous scalper prices. I would love to get your thoughts on this 3-pack down in the comment section below. What do you guys think? I want to thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, transform and roll out!